That was a little too loud.
Was that too aggressive?
No, if you're going to do that, I need to turn you down a little bit. Or just don't go into the mic to say it. Like, just sit where you're sitting.
Okay.
You kind of like went into the mic.
I did go into the mic,
Yeah.
so try it from back here.
Yeah. All right,
Okay.
go. Sorry.
And welcome to Riding the Bus podcast with your hosts, David Washington and Bennett Perry.
Welcome to another episode, people. From all over the world.
Oh, we have.
Did you know that?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
global.
I think you had mentioned that there were people in different countries
Yeah,
that
we're
have
global.
streamed Riding the Bus podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty crazy.
Kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you guys joining in again.
Yeah.
Before we get started.
Yeah, before we get started,
David has a message for you.
Well, to do the plugs, right? We have we want you guys to follow us on Instagram if you're not already at Riding the Bus Podcast, TikTok at Riding the Bus, Twitter at Riding the Bus Pod. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's Riding the Bus Podcast.
Yeah, you just search it.
You just search Riding the Bus Podcast. We'll pop up there somewhere. Comment on everything, like everything. Love feedback. Love to hear from you guys. Yeah,
We haven't
that's
really
the
gotten
plan.
our first like negative feedback yet.
Yeah, someone drop us some.
Yeah. Someone have some complaints about what we're doing.
Yeah,
I don't think you've officially made it until people have a problem with what you're doing.
yeah.
Now, we haven't gotten a bunch of, we're still growing. But for the most part, the feedback has been all good, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was one person, I will say, when I sent them, like, I'll send messages out to people, try to like network. And, be like, oh, follow along, like blah, blah. And they just responded, no. So I would say that's probably only like negative. I was like, oh, okay. And then they like unfollowed us. I was like, okay, cool. But
No.
yeah, like someone would be like, hey man, listen to your episode. Hated it. Hate you guys.
Yeah.
Then
You guys
I know
made
we
it.
made it.
Right. When people listen and they don't like it,
Right.
you have made it.
Right. Yeah.
Which no.
We're trying to cause emotions, in both directions. Could be positive, could be negative.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's your day going?
My day's going, man.
Yeah.
It's trucking along.
Yeah. Do you get excited for Mondays like me because it's recording day?
I do. Well, Monday is generally my my favorite day of the week.
Because we record on Monday?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even going back to just the start of the workout week. Just I don't know. I always like Mondays.
Yeah. That's not a popular opinion.
Right.
Most
right.
people don't like Mondays.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people.
You're not a Monday
Outside
guy.
of the recording aspect of it.
I'm glad that we put this on Monday then, because
Yeah, there is an aspect, even though I don't have a normal job like the rest of most people, there is an aspect I feel like on Sunday of like, oh man, like weekend's over. You gotta get back to same old shit. Mm-hmm. There was something I wanted to talk about though in the sports world that we can get into.
Right.
I don't know if you saw this. I think it was last week. I don't think either of us watched the game. But it was Lakers Nets, and the Lakers are without LeBron and AD still, so it wasn't the same as it would have been. But Kyrie was back, and he ended up getting ejected with Dennis Schroeder. They got into a little beef or whatnot. There was some words exchanged. I think ultimately, I don't like when people get thrown out of games for shit talking each other. There was no punches thrown. There was no pushing, but. The thing I wanted to get into is not that. Is that after the game, they asked Kyrie about, what that was about and what he felt, and what he said is that Schroeder, was repeatedly using the N-word with him and stuff like that, which is probably common, on the basketball court, that type of stuff. But him being a black man, obviously, his point was he does not like anybody using that word, and that's what he took offense to. Is that Schroeder called him the N-word, essentially. And I kind of wanted to get your take on that. Because that you would agree, regardless of how you feel, that is not the common belief amongst African Americans.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Is that, it's like, I'm not going to speak for you, but that's, not the common thinking.
There's the different there's a lot of black people that do believe that the world would just be a better place if no one ever said nigger ever.
Yeah.
right? Like there is a large, like usually I always thought it was mostly older people. I think my mom and dad were kind of that
Yeah.
of that belief. I don't know. It's weird. Like I can't imagine. I can't imagine that like Dennis Schroeder is the first person that Kyrie's
Right.
like that is called Kyrie. Any form of the word
Right.
this year, and he hasn't. And I don't think in his career. So I don't like. I'm not buying that that alone is what happened.
No,
If he just chose that to latch onto to say like this is the statement I want to make.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to be clear. Yeah, that was just my takeaway from it. That wasn't the thing it centered around. I just found that part to be interesting, and kind of wanted to get your take on.
Yeah.
I haven't even really necessarily seen a lot of people talking about that part specifically.
Yeah.
I just want to say that was my takeaway.
Right, was just that he doesn't like anybody saying it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Which I just find interesting.
that belief is it is interesting. And I brought this book out.
Okay.
This is the nigger book by Randall.
I don't know why that made me laugh.
That's what the
That's
book,
the title. Yeah,
It's the title of the book is Nigger, the strange career of a troublesome word.
Right.
It's by Randall Kennedy, and I just finished it recently, and I think it's a really good book.
Yeah.
And there's a part in there that is about that is kind of about that, like the black people that don't want anybody to say it. And they brought up obviously because they think the word itself is harmful, regardless of the of how you use it. There's also a part about when white people hear black people saying it, they think that like whether they think it's okay or not to say it, they think they think that's just how black people think of themselves. And then this part I highlighted because they talk about Bill Cosby is one of these people, right? Bill Cosby was big on like I don't want anybody to say it.
Right.
And this little part I highlighted, it says, some entertainers who openly use nigger reject Cosby's politics of respectability, which counsels African Americans to mind their manners and mouths in the presence of whites. I found that to be like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in there that I found to be very interesting, but that as it pertains to this point is that like, and it's where I don't know what Kyrie's exact take is, but there is some of that like, yeah, should the fact that like white people might take it the wrong way be a reason that like black people can't use words that they want to? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, as a white person,
Yeah.
I can only speak for myself, obviously. But the word obviously makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Right,
You know,
right.
friends use it. However, it's used in any context. There is a sense of like, it feels like tension rises
Yeah.
for me. When
It's a strong word.
and I don't, but I think when I've talked to, some friends about it, I think we've talked about it a little bit. Like, I think some people are kind of like, yeah, that's the intention of it in a sense. Like you should feel uncomfortable about it. And yeah, we're not going to stop doing something because it makes white people feel uncomfortable.
Right, right. Yeah, that's the
ultimately
idea.
it's better that you feel uncomfortable than comfortable, it seems like, around that word, right? Like
right,
if someone's
yeah.
really comfortable and they're just like, oh yeah, I hear that all the time, it's like, that's not good. Your family gatherings are probably not
The other side,
Not
but
good.
the other side to this whole the Shooter and Kyrie thing is that Shooter is not right. He's of
Right.
African descent,
Right.
I'm assuming, but he's not an African American man.
right. He's
And-
from, where's he from? He's from Switzerland, right?
I believe I believe Germany.
Interesting.
Um,
One
but-
of us could be right. We could both be wrong.
Right. And then so I don't know, I don't really know what that means to me. Just that it's not exactly the same. And we talked a little bit earlier about like Latin players, because a lot of times that'll be kind of like a black and Latin, where we kind of connect, like broken English, my nigga, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's like whatever, he's cool. But yeah, and people ask like, well, why is it better for him to say it? It's like, well, he's not of white American descent. Like he's not from this country, this and that. Also, like the Dominicans are kind of just black people that ended up in a different country.
See, okay, so just to clarify, what I was talking about earlier is more like Latin Americans.
Yeah, that gets weird too.
Right, like
Asian people do that too.
Yeah. Do they? I haven't heard many Asian people. I don't know if I played.
I'm thinking like I'm thinking. I remember like in I'm thinking back to like high school. Like we had a good amount of Filipino students.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that?
More or less indifferent.
Yeah.
But so more like annoyed, but not like
nowhere close to how you feel if a white person says
right.
It. Okay.
Right.
But is it like a minority thing? Is it like if you're a minority and you've been treated poorly type of thing in this country, that you're more acceptable of that as opposed to?
I think it's like more like white people like were the ones that were using it initially, whereas like I would say a Mexican person, like I don't know of any history of like Mexican slave owners in the U.S. You know what I'm saying? Or like Mexican members of the Ku Klux Klan or anything like that. Like, so it's like okay, like you're not. It's almost like you're not really a part of it.
Right.
It's more just annoying that like hey, it's our shit. You know, like if we walked, if using Latin slang terms was cool, and black people just started running around using them all the time. I'm sure a Mexican person might be like, that's annoying. Like that's that you're not part of that.
Right. But it doesn't come close.
But it doesn't come close.
So where's your stance on? Because another issue I think that comes up with that word a lot of times is we talk like music nowadays.
Yeah.
That word's obviously in there, and then people will be like, "Well, I'm just singing the song,
right?
Or I'm rapping along to the song, or whatnot." It's like,
right.
I think we've talked about it before. It's like, yeah, it seems like you're kind of. Some people go out of their way to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it's everybody kind of it's feel like it like it's hard to come up with like concrete rules for feel like if you're singing a song, you're singing a song, but like you're also there's plenty. I've heard white people. I'm not gonna name any names. Not you, obviously.
Right.
But I have heard white people like singing songs and just use it in the song, and it's still like in my ear. It's just like that word wasn't part of the song for you. You just got to say it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm at. I wanted your take on how you feel when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just. I mean, it's just like the feeling is like it's more about you getting to say the word than like you just got caught up in the lyrics of the song.
Right.
Like I don't know. I've been around. Like I've had a ton of white friends in my life. Like and a lot of them have sung. We've sung rap songs together, and very few of them, very few times do I hear them say nigger.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So.
Because when I've been in situations where I've seen that, like in a clubhouse or something like that, my takeaway was always, listen, I don't want to. Just throwing around the word racist, that's a heavy accusation type of thing. But when I would see that, a lot of times my first thought was like, I understand it's part of the song. It's like the song. You seemed a little too happy to get to that part of the song. It did feel a little bit like this is my way of being able to express this part of me that I've been wanting to express.
Right. There, you hear like a little build up into it, like it's coming up.
Yeah.
This is my time to shine.
Yeah. So that was kind of always my takeaway.
And then there was also the times, and this is it's only been a few of them. I think me and Matthew talked about it a little bit on the show, maybe where we've had like managers or coaches like tell black people not to not like
we did talk about that with Matthew.
Yeah, so there was one from like my childhood, like at a basketball camp where like a white coach came over to like a group of black players and like telling them like about language and like being like, I just hear you guys all every other word I hear out of you guys' mouth, nigger. And it's like,
I remember you telling me that.
and it's like, I mean, like as a kid, I didn't really think that much about it, but like as an adult, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I remember you told me that story not that long ago, and I feel like the way you told that story was kind of like, yeah, this happened, and like I was like, oh shit, like,
right?
you did
but
what?
Then, and then I think about like, remember what was it, a couple years ago when Tim Anderson got hit after pimping that home run in the second inning, and then got into it with the guy and got suspended because he called the white pitcher like a bitch ass nigga or something like that. And it's like that's crazy.
Can I ask, do you know, was he suspended specifically for that, or because that then turned into something, was he suspended for instigating anything?
If I remember,
like, did it turn into a benches clearing?
No, the benches were already cleared. Like the benches had cleared, but like there was no, like you talked about, like there was no brawl, no punches were thrown.
Right. There rarely is.
Yeah, right. Like yeah, people usually don't want to fight.
Right.
But no, like all he did, all Tim Anderson did was like an over the top pimp job. You know, and you can be on whatever side of that we want to be on. That's not really the point.
Right.
And then he got drilled, and then he went to first base and he was running his mouth. And then he got suspended for like 3 games. And like the quote was he called him a bitch ass nigga. And I think Tim's response was like, yeah, I called him a bitch ass nigga. But like,
right.
But no, like I think there was a small amount of outrage. I was particularly angry because it's like, yeah, like black man can't call a white man a bitch ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, what are we doing? And it's all those people.
If I can't have that,
right? Like, I mean, he's the only one. I'm pretty sure he's the only one in the game. Right? Like, no, like I'm trying to think. Like Kansas City Royals.
Are you saying he's the only black?
He was the only black player on the White Sox at the time.
Right. The first guy that comes to mind, just because we were just watching the Marlins play, was that was it Chisholm Jr.?
No, I'm saying yeah, but I'm saying like on like in any particular game, like how like he would be the only just on his team, he's the only black person, right? He's out there discriminating on the white people by calling them niggas, like you know what I'm saying? Like the idea of that.
Yeah. I didn't suspend him.
I know. I get upset.
No. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with you on that principle, but the bigger principle to me of what I agree with is just in general, I hate people getting suspended or ejected for like words.
For just saying shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, any type of shit talking. I don't like that that's become a thing where like umpires step like, well, hey man, you know, that's it. It's like, hey man, we're competing against each other, you know?
Right.
You know, if somebody walks up to somebody during a game and shoves them or gets in their face or something like that, I can understand. They're being like, hey, you were instigating something, but just like we were jawing at each other as I was walking, like that's kind of that's the healthy part of the game, you know? Like I don't know, that's just like that's part of it.
Yeah. What do you got on not what he got on it, but I just saw that clip of Trevor Bauer striking out Fernando Tatis and yelling on the mound and stuff. I mean, I gotta say, I gotta admit, I love it.
I mean, that's his personality.
Yeah,
I'm big, and we've talked about this with our high school team that we coach. My big philosophy when it comes to sports in general is like, I think people should be who they are, essentially. Like, if this is who you are, I'm kind of okay with it. I guess maybe more for me is like when I see instances where it feels like that's not really like who this person is, or then I can understand maybe more getting upset with a guy who's, you know, very quiet and never says anything, and then all of a sudden, you know, is John at you or something like that. But like, I think I feel differently when it's someone like Trevor Bauer, because I'm like, this is who Trevor Bauer is.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell Trevor Bauer to stop doing what he's been doing his whole life.
Yeah.
He's been very upfront about the fact that he does not care what you think about him.
Right.
You know, since he was in college, I played against him when he was at UCLA. You know, that this is who he is, and some people don't like it. Maybe I'm one of those people. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But no, I respect the fact that he is who he is, I guess. And I also know that if I was on the Padres, I'd probably be like, yeah, fuck this guy. You know, but in like kind of a healthy way. Like, fuck this guy. Let's get him. You know,
right.
I don't like want to hurt him away from the field, but like let's get this guy. You know,
I mean,
there's more satisfaction if we get this guy.
I wanted to bring that up to ask you, do you think after this weekend, is the Dodgers how hyped are you about Dodgers San Diego?
So this is what I'll say, and this is probably gonna disappoint some Padres fans.
Yeah.
This is one of those classic one team values the rivalry more than the other team to me. Like to me, the Padres side of it is like we're in a big rivalry with the Dodgers. The Dodgers side of it is like
You don't think the Dodgers feel like this is a rivalry?
I think the Dodgers feel like this is a rivalry, like they feel like every team in the division is a rivalry. I just feel like on one hand of it, it's like, listen, we're the defending world champions.
Did you hear or see, was it Justin Turner's quote?
No.
Where he's like, we get to play 19 World Series games this season.
Yeah. I mean, I would think they maybe feel that way also playing the Giants, also playing maybe because the Diamondbacks and Rockies like aren't that good. I think there's just a distinction I like to make in divisions when you have two really good teams in a division. That's obviously a rivalry.
Yeah.
Right? By default. Yeah. That's different than just like an actual rivalry no matter what. Like to me in the NL West.
No, okay, yeah. So I don't want to.
So I'm saying he's probably saying that because the Padres are at least
that's
the second best
I
team
think that's what I'm I don't mean in the way that like Boston and New York is a rivalry.
Well, I'm saying a lot of people consider the Dodgers and Giants similar. Like that's the big rivalry for both those teams.
Right.
That's why I'm saying I think the Dodgers, or at least the Dodgers fans, like hate the Giants more than they like hate the Padres.
Probably, yeah.
Right. But Padres fans they hate the Dodgers the most. It feels to me like one of those. Now, it's one of those where, listen, if every time they play, the Padres are constantly, jawing at them and there's beef. Eventually, yeah, the players are going to, start disliking the Padres. It just, since the signings in the offseason, the Padres are obviously good this year. They haven't been good in a while, but like a legitimate playoff team. It felt a little bit to me like, yeah, we're coming for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers were like, okay, cool. Like, we look forward to it, but we're the defending champs.
Yeah.
And it just felt a little bit more one-sided to me. Maybe the way you change that is, you start ripping off some series wins and, stuff like that. Because I think they lost the series, right?
Right.
The Padres did.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of those where it's like they were very, I watched some of the games, like they were very passionate, like they were very into it, but ultimately Dodgers won.
Yeah.
And so to me, especially when you're the defending champion, when you're the king, essentially, like you have to dethrone them. I feel like a little bit before you get there, complete respect.
Yeah.
Like I think right now they respect you and don't like you as the biggest threat to them winning the division. I don't think it goes that much further than just like there's some history here and we don't like you.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like I think this has now become, the best games that we'll ever see in our keep it in perspective. Like we're, this is exciting because the Padres have spent some money on, on really, really talented players, and they've put together a really good roster, and the Dodgers have always done that. So now you just have two really good teams playing each other. That's what I think I care more about that than like the San Diego, LA.
Right.
I don't care.
No, it's definitely exciting. There's no question it's exciting.
But to me it feels like these are the game, and it could be mostly all hype, right? Because like a lot of San Diego has received a lot of it is due, but a lot of hype about a lot of the players.
Yeah. What do you think about this take? So like right now in the NFL, obviously you're a Steelers fan, so the AFC North a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like the Browns are one of the top teams in the division.
Right.
So now like when they play the Ravens or even the Steelers last year, it's like now we're the rival. And it's like, no, like to you, we might be your biggest rival, but to us, I don't think the LA San Francisco rivalry is on par with the Baltimore Pittsburgh rivalry. Okay.
But there is. I wouldn't go that far. Because I don't take the Browns that seriously. Okay. But
I'm saying I think that's kind of how the Dodgers feel about the Padres. I'm not saying the Dodgers players. Because when I'm talking about rivalries, I mostly mean fans.
Yeah.
I think that's the main part of rivalries.
Yeah.
Now the great rivalries, the players obviously don't like each other.
But I'm thinking even if I was just a casual baseball fan, not even someone in San Diego. Right. Like if I feel like I was just somebody who just like kind of followed the game, I would get really excited about Padres Dodgers.
Right.
like to me, I don't know. To me, those are the two in division teams. If you just go like, I can't name another in division game that to me is like that, filled with talent, and
I mean, you're probably right about that. I mean, that part you're right about.
Okay.
And I'm saying like that's why it's exciting.
Yeah.
I did see that there was like a benches clearing thing at one point.
The Profar where
I don't think
was
that
that
was
no.
it. I think it was. I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been that. It might have been that. And the part that I came away with is the part I always come away with in these things that I just think is hilarious is when like it's a little thing. It's basically been broken up, but then the bullpens like run in.
Bullpens jog in.
And they like jog, but like they're jogging depending on where the every stadium, I guess the bullpens are different, but one where they're kind of close to each other and they kind of have to take the same exit to get on the field. Like they're running together. And it's like they're like intertwined and like kind of, and there's like it's a light jog.
You know what's funny? My dad always makes that point when we talk about bench clearing brawls. It's like, yeah, what is that like? You're jogging for the people on YouTube, like right next to each other, and then just like there was one where they actually like they like crossed.
Yeah. That was kind of what.
Oh, excuse me, I got to go to my side of the brawl now.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like to me in this one. They were like kind of like it was like one pack of blue and like brown and yellow. Now they were all wearing like pullovers type of thing. But like I've just always found that part to be funny. It's like that jog out there.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Millsy about it because he was always a reliever. He would always talk about that, like how much he hated that. And there was one in specific he was telling a story about when he was in the minors where it was like one of those games where it happened a couple times. Like they kept kind of like clearing, nothing big, but I think it was like they cleared twice. And he said, like, if we do this again, like I'm just punching somebody, like I'm just running, I'm hitting somebody, I'm not running. And like it happened again, and he just went up to some random guy, and it ended up being, I won't name him, but he ended up being you might get mad at me for telling this story, but it ended up being Brian Graham, who was the coach of the other team, who ended up being the minor league coordinator for the Orioles when I was with the Orioles, and when you were with the Orioles, when Mills was with the Orioles.
Yeah.
They joked about that story.
Yeah.
But I think apparently that was it. He was just like, he's like, hey, I'm a coach. He's like, sorry, man, but like, you were wearing.
Someone had to get it.
Yeah, you were wearing the wrong hat, and I run out here 3 times today already.
Right.
And we always say, the relievers that just, and then with the Millsy, we talked about that story and shared the clip of that Yankees-Orioles brawl where, like, that was a real brawl, right? And the relievers got into it.
Right.
You can tell the difference, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, they kind of have to be broken up.
We just have to be out there.
Yeah, it's just that, like, it's like that light jog, and they're, like, talking to, a player on the other team or bullpen, like, hey man, how's it going? I guess we're gonna have to fight each other when we get out there.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
It's always funny being boys with people on the other team when and then like somebody on your team and the other team are fighting.
Right. Well, because a lot of times too, I don't know if it's just times have changed, but like in a situation like that, it's like this is their beef. Right. It's like I don't even know what happened. Yeah. I'm 400 feet away from. I don't even know what they're talking about. Yeah. But we have to run out here. We have to do our job. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've been involved in a couple benches clearing stuff, and every one of them was as tame as they get. And I always felt like, why am I out here? Right. And I'm a big fan of. Listen, I'll have my guys back, and I'm all for this. If this was gonna go the way of a brawl, like let's do it. Let's see what happens. Yeah. But yeah, that idea, like it just felt even worse, just like running out there. Like knowing that you're just gonna not do anything.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like we could maybe find a way to get rid of this. Which I think maybe it was your idea, but we agree on it. If we just let players fight each other, then you would get rid of that, right? Yeah. You would get rid of that like obligatory. Is that the word I'm looking for? Mm-hmm. Like just run out there of just all the positions. Like okay, here we go. It's just like settle it.
Yeah. Oh, y'all got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Do you think maybe because like we talked about like the main problem is that they have traction, right? Because like in
that's
hockey,
your main problem.
I
don't see that as a problem.
It's not a problem when you're trying to hit somebody in the face, but like for like the visual of it is different than like hockey where they're they do a fine job of standing upright, but like somebody gets hit, they slip and it's over. Whereas, like, if you're just having, like, 2 people in cleats and bare knuckle brawl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you have to remember none of these people are professional fighters.
That's true.
I mean, you ever see like two guys that don't know how to fight?
That's
like,
true. That's
It's
true.
usually like if someone's gonna win, it's because they got one shot in. It's
Yeah.
not just like someone just teeing off on a guy.
Right,
Like, he doesn't
right,
know how to protect.
right.
It's a lot of haymakers.
Yeah.
And then maybe one person
I think
connects.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking too much about this.
Everyone thinks they're a better fighter than they really are.
Yeah.
If you're not, other than like being in the MMA or like a professional, or you've taken, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or, karate or something like that. Like if you're just like especially an athlete, like everyone, and I'm including myself in that, like we all think we're better fighters than, like all of us were getting in a fight and then watch a video of it. It'd be like, oh, that's not what I thought I looked like.
Right. Right.
So like, that's why I feel like in those, like it wouldn't, I'm sure people would get hurt, people would get knocked out from time to time, but it wouldn't just be like guys just taking damage. It'd be like, yeah, he got one, he got hit clean, and maybe now he'll think twice about.
And ultimately, like the idea isn't that we would see more fights.
Right.
The idea is
We'd
that
see
if
less.
it was an option, guys really wouldn't do it.
And I think we agree on that.
There's nothing more annoying than the guy who tells you, like, what he would have done.
Right. Yeah. See, I think that's ultimately what I hate. He's like, oh, I just hate him. She's like, oh, I would have beat the shit out of that guy. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
yeah.
And I don't know. Like I'm a very confident person. I am one of these people that truly believe that if I were in a fight with somebody, that I would win. Truth is, I have no idea. I've been in maybe a couple in like college when it would be like guys, and it was more like a group thing. And it gets broken up kind of pretty fast. But like, no, I've never just been in like one-on-one in a ring, type setting. Obviously not, but like just like a one-on-one thing. But like, I'm very confident in myself. But most people I think that are like that, it's like, yeah, like, oh, I would beat the shit out of this guy. I'm like, you don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've always liked that what I would have done.
Yeah.
Or this would have happened.
Yeah.
Or oh man, like the people that try to like intimidate. But it's just like we're the same here, We talked about that, of guys being like, "Oh, I'd beat the shit out of you." Like, you'd try,
Right.
But and you might.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might, but I'm gonna hit back.
Yeah. Right.
So,
right. Yeah. A lot of people don't factor that part into the what they would have done.
Right. They factor in that I'm angry and I really want to beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah.
And then they end it there.
Right.
So they go, okay, I will.
On the flip
No,
side,
he's gonna try to hit back.
on the flip side, in my small experience, is like it is interesting to see the ones who do hit people.
Right.
There was the best brawl that I was a part of was the one in Memphis. I showed you the video of that one, right?
Yeah.
And one of the pitchers, I believe he's on an active roster, so I'll leave him out. But like, yeah, he's like the most like happy-go-lucky guy. Just like like who's the one person that would never hurt somebody? It's like, oh, that's this guy. Right, it's like, and he's the sneaky bastard that like snuck around like the edge of the skirmish to find the guy who was like running away and like stuck him one time. And like you had to like we had to go back and watch and like slow mo the video to like to see it. Like, dude, what? Yeah, it was like, I mean, but it when we talk about it, it's like it's the ones who don't talk about what they would have done.
Right.
It's usually the quiet ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Those people are really, because I'm not one of those people. Like, I'm not one of the ones who says what I would have done, but I'm also not the guy who actually wants to punch somebody.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm very, very upfront about that. I'm not a big fighter.
Yeah.
My role is I just grab people and say, hey man, we're cool.
I think a lot of people that have never been in a fight or never punched someone, never been, like that shit's not fun, Like sometimes you gotta stick up for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna stick up for myself. But I'm not looking to have to punch someone in the face or get hit in the face. Like, like that's not something I look forward to. So like, some of the people that they talk, and the people that talk like that, they also don't really want to be in a fight.
Right.
I think that's ultimately the gist of what we're talking about, is that a lot of these people, they like the, puffing out the chest, and when that, the whole like, oh, hold me back type of thing. Yeah. And then if no one's there to hold you back, you're like, oh, okay, never mind.
I love the videos of the dogs that are like separated by a fence, and they're just like, they're going nuts. Just barking each other's faces off, and then like they pull the fence away, and then they just stop.
Yeah, that's basically a baseball bench is clear.
But that's most of sports. Like,
No,
like
yeah. Other than hockey.
other than hockey.
Yeah.
And you want to hear my hot take?
Yeah. Always.
Like, I feel like the little bit that I've watched soccer, like those people are better about like if they actually want to like hit somebody, like they'll hit somebody. I don't
Do
know
they
about
hit
like throwing
people
hands.
often?
I just think about and I'm really just thinking about the guy who headbutted the dude that one time.
Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah. I feel like people do shit like that in soccer. You also have the guy that like
I remember that being like a big deal because
Yeah.
that's not a normal
Yeah.
thing that people do.
I think the main thing is I think soccer players are tougher than people give them credit for.
Ooh, that is a hot take because I disagree. Well, okay, I don't know. Anytime you say something like that, I don't know what people are.
I
giving
think. I
credit
mean.
for.
I mean. I think.
know where
I
I
think
put
it is.
them.
It's an extremely physical sport, and I think the theatrical part of flopping makes people think that like
Okay.
that when they go down and roll around, it's because they're like really in pain from this little bit of contact.
Right.
Which like we can talk about like how we feel about like the morals of
Okay.
flopping,
Okay.
but
No,
like
that's a good point.
the sport is very physical.
Well, just whether just to be an elite level athlete in your sport, to think that you're not a tough person
Right.
is where I would disagree with that.
Right.
So okay, making that distinction, yes, that's a good. Well, I just anytime someone goes, we talk about this all the time, like overrated and underrated. It's like if I don't know where you rate it, then I can't. So yeah, if people are thinking soccer players are not tough because of that stuff, then I would say you're right. That is not right.
Also, I don't hear a lot about. I don't know. I feel like the more quote unquote bench clearing stuff that happens, the softer your sport is. Like the more.
That seems to be taking kind of a shot at baseball a little bit. Because I would say that's kind of the sport.
The most, right?
Right.
I mean, as far as like, yeah, I don't know, like, yeah, just that might be my hot take for the day.
I think there's too much, because I don't disagree with you. I just think when we'll circle back on it, but talking about, there's just too much, I don't know, there's something about baseball, but where you can start something and not have to finish it, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of why.
Yeah. Well, I just because like hockey and football probably have like when like I've never heard about it in hockey. I'm sure it happens where like there's a bunch of people fighting at the same time.
Right.
Basketball usually if benches clear is because somebody's thrown punches.
I will say I think basketball is more closer to the baseball side.
For sure, it's closer to baseball.
There's a
than
lot
it
of
is
like
hockey.
talk, okay, like chest, and then guys come in type of thing.
Right.
Like there was that one with like Joel Embiid and Cat,
Yeah.
And then Joel Embiid afterwards was like, I was like, he didn't do anything.
Yeah, but I'm saying
hugged him.
people don't leave the bench on those. I feel
Right.
like.
Well, because you're not allowed to.
Right.
If you do, you get ejected.
Well,
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you get ejected.
I'm pretty sure if you leave the bench, you like the area, you get ejected.
Okay. Yeah. Football, almost none.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I think same thing. Like you because you can't come onto the field. I think is more than anything. I don't know if you get ejected, but there's like a penalty.
But there's not a lot of incidents.
But I'm
either.
saying now we're kind of getting to it where baseball there is no penalty for. I mean, there's a penalty if you instigate it. You'll probably be ejected and suspended. But just running
there's
onto the field,
fines and stuff. But
I'm
yeah,
saying
there's
a dugout guy or a bullpen guy running onto the field. There's no problem with that. So that might play a part in it too.
Yeah.
Because I think if you allowed people to just fight each other, there are plenty of players in the big leagues that I'm sure will have no problem fighting each other. But I think we agree that there'd be less of those benches clearing stuff over like little stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't like the way you ran the bases. No one's fighting over that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Maybe a couple pitchers. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we both agree on that. But I think it'll be exciting to watch. We talk about the excitement factor of baseball.
Yeah. More fights.
Well, honestly, we're talking about Padres, Dodgers. They're playing a series. It's like, all right, well, I might be more likely. It's not that I want to see people fight, but like knowing that is an option almost. That like if it's going to get to that point, that means it's real.
Right.
There's no fake toughness part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's throwing at you. He's willing to fight you.
Right. Or he better be.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I remember
because I'll say this. Sorry to cut you off, but because there's also an aspect when you're throwing at someone like a team, you're throwing at like their best player a lot of times, you know?
Right.
And, you know, there might be some guys where it's like, yeah, you want to hit this guy, but like, you sure you want to fight that guy?
Yeah.
You know?
The potential problem is you might have start having just like goon pitchers.
Yeah. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, it would be annoying if like, yeah, like
you're not gonna have anyone on your pitching staff.
You just bring in like it's a tie game with 2 outs or something. You just bring in, you know, just some guy who mostly fights and throws 95-mile-an-hour fastballs just to hit Mookie.
But why would you do that if it's a tie game?
I don't know.
Like,
just because you see if you can get him out of the game by starting a fight.
I mean, if that stuff
worst case, he's just on first base.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an easy. You know, if you do that or the league deems that you do that, then yeah, it's a pretty big suspension. You can't bring in someone just to do that type of thing. Like, I think you could get rid of that, and I think most teams in general are not just going to have people on their staff that can't. It might put a premium on finding guys that can get outs, but are also can handle their own type of thing. But I don't think anyone's going to put someone on a staff.
You don't think they're going to have like I don't know, like punching bags and stuff in the
they might.
as part of the.
I'm sure there'll be. You make any type of rule change or something like that.
Guys are going to start looking for.
There's going to be certain teams that put more of an emphasis on it than others type of thing. I could see like some bad team, being like, hey, if we're not going to be good, at least no one's going to fuck with that.
Here's a ridiculous thing to try to I don't know, try to say. What team, if that was a rule, would lead the league in fights?
It's a good question. It's a hard one to answer. One, because now you're testing my knowledge of every lineup.
Do you think it's more okay? So do you think it's more on? I guess here's a better question. Do you think it's more on the lineup, or do you think it's more on the rotation in the bullpen?
So my first take on this is, and you can tell me what you think about this, is the teams with the higher payrolls I would probably have lower on the list. I think there's a correlation of people that are making a lot of money got more to lose. You break your hand or something like that. I mean, it is baseball's different.
Guys with more guaranteed money.
I was gonna say, I was listening to, I think it was Cowherd was talking about like in basketball or football why it doesn't happen as much, but because of contract reasons. But yeah, with baseball, I guess it's all guaranteed money. But maybe someone that is not signed a big contract yet, type of thing. So yeah, maybe that doesn't go as much with baseball. Because right off the bat, I was like Dodgers, Yankees, I'm out on.
Right.
Like, we're not trying to fight, we like making our money and beating teams.
Yeah.
So right after the time I see like a team that's like, we have to be scrappy. So right off the bat, just on the way they play and kind of like how they've been disrespected, my first thought goes to the Rays. Because like they're good or like they're a good team, but they're always like, you're the little brother, all the teams in the AL East and the American League. I could just see them being like, fine, we'll fight,
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, I don't know the guys on their team necessarily if they would.
But it's not necessarily about, those are the way they play the game.
Right.
I have no idea. And like most of these people don't want to fight.
Right.
We assume.
Right.
But I'm not, I don't know really any of those guys personally outside of Manny.
We're leaving translators out of it.
Yeah. I don't think Manny's going to fight any of their fights for him. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, because the first thought is, okay, do you pick the team that has the most guys that I think would be good in fights, type of thing?
Yeah.
Or is it more of a stylistic thing of the team, Because there's plenty of guys like, oh, that'd be, because a lot of people would be like the Yankees, right? Judge and Stanton and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know either of them personally. Obviously, they're big. I don't know if any of them feel that way,
Yeah.
I don't know if Stanton's like,
I'm
okay.
They're kind of approaching the size where you start to think like, they might kind of have like that big man syndrome where no one's ever really thought to punch them in the face, so they never had to do
the answer I'll go with now because I just saw this, and I think to answer your question, this is the team I think that would start the most fights, but I don't know if they'd be the most successful at it. But the Reds, because the Reds talk a lot about that. Like Amir Garrett, he just said something the other day about like some teams have started saying stuff about how they're a little showboaty and stuff. He's like, yeah, we're the assholes, like deal with it type of thing.
if there's anybody who has like legit credit as far as like
Right.
talking about fighting,
Right.
Amir Garrett can run his mouth for the rest of his career basically
Right. Just because of that one with the Pirates.
because of the
where he
one with
ran
the
over.
Pirates.
Yeah.
I mean,
that I didn't pick the just because of one person.
No,
I'm just
right.
saying like the way they talk. Now that I
Yeah.
think about it, is
Yeah.
like they would probably start some actual
yeah.
fights.
They got Votto.
Yeah.
Canadians typically,
Right.
hockey culture.
Yeah. 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 There is something about European Canadian. It's like
They're my favorite type of stereotypical tough guy.
yeah.
Because we talk about the guys that don't talk about it. It's like they're the nicest guys. And the next
I don't
thing you
know. I don't know how many
they're
Canadians you've played with, but one of the things I've always found funny about Canada and Canadians that I've played with is that every guy I've played with, who was obviously a baseball player, at some point was like a good hockey player. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't good enough to play the next level, but it's like it was almost a requirement that everyone is going to play hockey
Yeah.
at a high level. It's just like I'm choosing baseball over hockey or whatever the reason is, but it was like, you know, yeah, it was just one of those countries where it just seemed like that it was mandatory that
Yeah.
everyone play hockey
Yeah.
and be good at it.
Yeah.
And then you can choose what you want to do with your life.
We don't have that in America.
No. Well, you would argue, yeah. I mean, I think that's also the good thing about America is that, you know, it is so diverse and there are so many different things. But like, because there's countries, you could probably say the same thing about like a country like Brazil in soccer.
Right.
Or, you know, I think Germany also to an extent with soccer. Like, you know, countries like that with
Countries
soccer.
outside of the
Or
U.S.
football.
with soccer.
Football, I should say, for them. Right.
Yeah.
Not every country, but like
A lot of them.
a lot of them where it's like, yeah, you like, yeah, I never played at a high level, but like you toss me a soccer ball, like I'm better than you are.
Right.
You
right.
know, because at some point, you know, we had to learn type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I was going to ask you, I don't even know if you saw this or you follow this, but I was thinking about it when we were talking about fighting, is have you been following this whole like Jake Paul thing? You know who Jake Paul is?
Yeah, I did actually. I know that's a thing. I don't know. I know who he is. If you show
Okay.
me a picture of Jake Paul,
Right.
I'd be like, that's Jake Paul.
Right. Okay.
Um,
have you seen him box?
I've seen him. I've seen him knock out Nate Robinson.
Right.
And then I saw him knock out the Ben Askren.
Okay, so that was the one that recently happened. That
Yeah.
one happened over this weekend.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking
Yeah.
about it. And kind of like what both of us are not huge, you know, boxing or MMA guys. You
Right.
know, I know, you know, the bare minimum.
Yeah.
You know, I do like to watch. I don't watch these. I'm not buying these fights to watch him fight Ben Askren. But now there is starting to become a thing of like, I mean, this guy's starting to knock these guys out. Like,
Right.
is he actually like a good boxer?
Yeah.
'Cause it started as a joke, right? He's a YouTuber, which I'm not gonna say. We're trying to also become YouTubers in a sense.
Right. No, the guy. No. He has a certain gig.
But there's a negative kind of thing on him of like, you know, he's just YouTube. He just does crazy things on YouTube. He's kind of obnoxious type of thing. And then he was like get into boxing, and everyone kind of laughed at him, and he's beating the shit out of people. And the people he's beating the shit out of, there's, you know, people are poking holes in it. Like, it was impressive. He knocked out Nate Robinson because Nate Robinson's a great athlete, but also like nothing suggested that Nate Robinson could fight.
Right,
You know, and he's a lot smaller than. I mean, Jake Paul's kind of a big guy. And then he fought Ben Askren, where it's like, listen, this guy, he's kind of a retired MMA guy, but fought in the MMA. His style was more of the grappling, like he's an Olympic wrestler. So I think a lot of people thought in boxing it wouldn't be surprising. That was one of the reasons he struggled in the MMA. It seems like he couldn't stand up and fight with people.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he like retired a year or two ago. Like he's near the end of his fighting career. So I think some people were poking kind of holes in his opponents and like, is it time for him to like actually fight a real boxer and see like what he looks like? And I don't know if you've seen it, but I do kind of, I don't want to get down this rabbit hole and get sucked into it because ultimately I don't care. I'm never gonna buy one of these fights, you know, that are on these like other things. But like I am now kind of like, I kind of now like to see him against like a real boxer.
Right.
Like, what if he just fought Canelo?
I think
you
that's
know? Like,
I think that's kind of the point. I was watching Greeny before we did this, and the point he made I thought was a big takeaway is that, like, you know, I think he's the most watched boxer. Like from like I think from 2020.
Yeah.
Most watched boxer.
Yeah.
You know, Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Right. So like, what is that like? I mean, just about what that means for like sports entertainment.
Right.
Right. I'm not I mean, I was never a huge boxing guy, but that's the part of it that I care about is that, like, yeah, it's people care more about watching this guy, hopefully, like thinking that somebody's gonna beat his ass. That was the narrative that I heard, is that, like, this guy's annoying,
right?
And like
People
somebody's
are
gonna I'm gonna put him in his place, and then he knocks him out and gets more annoying, and then this guy goes, all right, I'm gonna put him in his place, and then he knocks this guy out too.
So he has the formula for how to be extremely popular in today's society,
right?
In that he's very polarizing.
Yeah.
He has the people that love him and are huge fans of him also. And then, a lot of people are tuning in because they want to see him get his ass kicked. Right. But they're tuning in.
Either way, they're tuning in.
Right. So that is kind of the formula as I see it. We talk about people, kind of like Kanye or even Trump to an extent, of how he, like, people are just very passionate on either side of it, But ultimately, from an entertainment value, that means everyone's tuning in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I see that with him, obviously. Like, a lot of people are tuning in. And it is funny because a lot of people are tuning in to, like, be like, I want to see him get his ass beat. Yeah. And that's obviously not happening. And I think some people, it's easy to... This is where I'll go, talking about, people that fight or whatnot. Like, people are poking holes in the people that he's fighting. But he's fighting.
So here's... Okay, so
like,
here's...
These people are getting in the ring and trying to do the same thing to him.
Here's my stance on... Here's where I'm at on it.
Okay.
I will tune in to the fight after he gets knocked out. When he gets in a fight and loses, and I don't even. It doesn't have to be a knockout. I just mean, like, if he loses a fight and then goes for another fight, I'll watch that fight.
See, I would say I would tune in if he fought like a real boxer. Like, if you told me he's fighting like a guy, I don't know, first guy was like Canelo. I don't know why that would ever happen. I don't know if you know Canelo. He's one of the top boxers in the world. I don't know why he'd ever fight Jake Paul. Right. But like that type of fight, I'd be like, I actually kind of want to see him against a real boxer, or just even like an amateur-ish like boxer.
But and here's kind of the thing. This is kind of getting into like that Tim Tebow. It's not the same as Tim Tebow, but kind of in a sense where it's like you want to see him fight a real boxer, but it's like there are real boxers that want to fight real boxers on the stage that he would be on to fight a real boxer.
I understood that early on.
Yeah.
Because that was like Jake Paul early on, I think, was calling out guys, and they're like, not fighting some YouTuber type of thing. I'm just saying, at what point does it get to a point essentially where you have to kind of start respecting him as a boxer, and like, actually, maybe this guy
when he loses a fight, like, because
he's not going to get a fight with a boxer when he loses a fight.
Well, but I'm saying, like, that's when he fights somebody that, like, I'm convinced that it's not a publicity thing. Right, like these are like Nate Robinson is not, like you said, is not about like I wanted, like, if he wants to be a boxer and like there's gonna be, and he's gonna have this huge draw, you can find a guy that's good enough to knock him out.
Okay, right. So the rumor, I guess, right now is Conor McGregor. He's gonna box Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that if that were to happen? Because that's also, I mean, Conor McGregor, he's kind of turned into a publicity stunt guy.
Right. Yeah.
He's not like.
If Conor McGregor knocks him out,
I'm saying, would you watch the fight between him and Conor McGregor?
No.
Okay.
No. But if Conor McGregor knocked him out, I might watch the next one.
What if he knocks out Conor McGregor?
No.
Interesting.
Okay, there's too much, and I don't want to give this any, because I hate this, but like, there's too much of like I watched the video of the knockout. Right, it was like in the first. What was it in like the first? Like,
it was like first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it was like the guy went down, popped right back on his feet.
Ben Askren?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I watched the thing. Like, he popped right back. He got knocked down. Like, got up. Like the guy took his thing out. Like, was counting, and then the guy went like this, and like the first step, he like, I guess he stumbled a little bit, and then he goes, yeah, and like everything is just like.
I mean, he looked a little wobbly to me.
Okay, fine. I mean, everything said, like the whole thing is like, it's rigged.
See, I'm not necessarily against that the whole thing is rigged. I'm not, but I'm more on like he was like, yeah, I'll take the knockout. I didn't take it as he wasn't really knocked out.
Right.
I just took it as like, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's fine. But I'm not gonna buy it basically
Right.
until I think like there's anything going on besides him just like knocking out people that are getting paid to get knocked out.
I think there's a reason, and I don't know Ben Askren, I don't want to speak too badly of him. I think there's reason to believe that is possible, that he agreed to do that just to get knocked out.
Right.
Where I would be like, yeah, Conor McGregor's not agreeing to do that.
Yeah.
If he's just like, yeah, just knock me out,
Yeah.
If Conor McGregor loses to Jake Paul in a boxing match, that if his legacy's already taken a hit, like that would be, I mean, he's considered one of the greatest fighters of all time, Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You'd have to take him out of that conversation if he lost.
I'm not gonna watch it, but if that fight happened and they went, I don't know, they're boxing, right? So say they went 6 or 7 rounds, and Conor McGregor ended up knocking him out, or beating it, or they go however many, and he beats him in a really good fight, and they're bloody, and it's like, wow, like you're really getting after it. I'll tune into the next one.
That's interesting because the other thing about Jake Paul is because he's new to this. All of his knockouts, to my understanding, have come in the first round. Right. That in theory, if you could just get him into later rounds, he'd have to be gassed.
Yeah.
He's never been in this type of fight before. I'm sure he's in good shape and condition, but that's different when you've never been. I remember that was kind of the thing with in the MMA, like Ronda Rousey early on. Yeah. I was like, she lost the first fight. I think it went to the second round because every fight she'd end in the first round. It was like the first time. Yeah, I'm kind of tired. I've never really done this before. Type of thing.
He's gonna have to lose for me to analyze.
I just think it's weird that after he loses, then you tune in.
Yeah, because right now, I don't think he can lose. You see what I'm saying? It's like I don't like my whole thing of like sports. Like the reason is that there's stakes, whatever the stakes are. One team can win, one team can lose, and that means something to. I have no.
Oh, so you're on the side that it's rigged. That's I guess.
I will believe it's not when he loses.
Okay.
To one degree or another. Like
is that just how you feel about boxing in general?
Like okay, when the YouTube sensation. The guy who it would help everybody to have win keeps winning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it would make so much sense. Like something else is gonna have to happen before I invest in it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go. I'm not going to say. I'm not gonna make a statement and say I think it's rigged.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say it can't be exactly what you would expect the narrative to be, and have me tune into it.
All right. That's fair enough. All right.
I think we get into that. How much time is that?
About an hour. I think it's a good place to end it. Kind of keep it short and sweet.
Took a couple turns.
Yeah, talk about some fighting and whatnot. But we did the intro, right?
We did do the intro.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you tuning in. I'm not gonna give you the plugs again, but hopefully you learned something. As D-Wash laughs at me as I'm trying to end this. This is harder than it looks.
I do know this is harder. That's why I'm laughing.
Right.
No, thank you. Appreciate you for if you stuck around this long for listening to our thoughts and again, we love your feedback. Till next time.
All right.